What are some of the mysterious things that occurred the morning of the ambush? Stay tuned. Welcome back to Buford Pusser, the other story, and we're going to talk about things that happened right after the ambush or around that time frame. In the last video, I covered several things that happened. We talked about the Pussers' credibility, how that they had always claimed that Buford followed Carl as chief of police there in Adamsville, but it didn't happen quite the way they said because Buford Surratt served in there first. We also covered that Carl had been a moonshiner himself. He knew the ropes, he knew the moonshiners, and he knew that there was money to be made by a sheriff who was willing to take payoffs. So, you've got to think about that as we talk about all this story. Now, we know that Carl helped Buford get elected as the constable of the 3rd Civil District there in McNairy County, which added to his title as chief of police of Adamsville, kind of built a resume for him to be able to run for sheriff. And we also talked about how that Carl and Buford went down and raided the state line while Buford was only a constable. And it wasn't in his jurisdiction, had no right to be down there, and how they probably knew that the courts would throw everything out. But according to Carl, they made sure that the public knew that Buford was the type of guy that would stand up to the state liners. So we also talked a little bit about the election in which Dickey had been killed. So the race ended up being between Buford and George Weatherford. And, Buford only defeated Weatherford by 248 votes. Now, Dickey got 307 votes during that election. Obviously, there were 307 votes that didn't want Pusser as sheriff. And when you think about it, had people cast their votes for George Weatherford, Buford would never have been sheriff. With me today is Chuck Puckett. Chuck is down in Texarkana. I consider him, it's kind of like when you have to dial a friend and ask for information. Chuck is my go-to guy on the Dixie Mafia. So, Chuck, how are you today?
Doing good, Mike. A lot of pollen down here. You see me drinking and cough a little bit. That's what it is. I don't need quit cigarettes. It's just pollen. So, but yeah, doing good, Mike.
Sounds like it's getting to you.
A little bit. I'm getting better.
All right. Something that we need to discuss here, I guess, is that Carl said he got that disturbance call early in the morning and that he wouldn't send Buford out. The call was at Hollis Jordan's place. A caller said that there was trouble going on there and that if somebody didn't respond, someone was going to get killed. And then he turned around and the caller did and called Buford's home. Now, the initial call came in somewhere around 2:30, we assume. Mm-hmm. He called Buford's home somewhere around 4 o'clock. There's an hour and a half.
Right.
That, we don't know what was going on. Then you consider that Moffitt and Warren Jones placed the time of the ambush as being at around 4:45. There you got another half hour, 45.
Right.
So we have to wonder, what were Buford and Pauline doing at that time?
I just wonder. Interesting question. I don't know if they ever asked that question. Was Buford ever asked that? I wonder.
It's just one of those things that you really need to think about when you get into all this because they had to be somewhere. They had to be doing something.
Yeah.
And the thing that catches my attention next is that Carl would also tell the story that he had called Pauline that morning and advised her that Buford was drunk. He was really intoxicated, and he didn't want Buford to answer the phone or go out on any calls. Now, that's two different stories that you have that he was telling people, telling the TBI one thing and telling other people something else. Chuck, do you see any way that those two stories work together?
No, they don't work together. Somebody's lying. Maybe both, maybe. But I would say that the Ward Moore, story there holds more credence because of what Miss Plunk heard. Miss Plunk, like you say, saw Buford pull up, in the house, the driveway there going to the house. And I believe she said she heard a loud pop, and Diane did too. But then you have what Buford, well, especially Carl, told the story like you're saying about he came in, he was too drunk to answer the call. And that's what Rex Armistead said. They stayed on that story. You couldn't get them off of it. So you think they go back and look at those calls if they could and see who called who. Now, I don't know if they did. Like I say, there's a Tennessee investigation. I don't, I guess Rex kind of left that to them to find that out. And they may have. And, Warren Jones may have been told, no, sir. It ain't I don't know.
I don't know. It really makes me wonder because it would be easy, I would think, for them to go back and see if a call actually came in. Maybe
Sure.
one did, maybe one didn't. But at the same time, it doesn't mesh with Carl's other story that uh, he had called Pauline and advised her not to let Buford go on calls. And that's after he had told us that, were having a fight and they were about to kill each other. This is
Right.
this is what he told Ward Moore, that Ward, the county coroner, dispatched him to the Pusser residence. And, you know, that just seems odd. And
Yeah.
that's when he told Ward that Buford and Pauline were in a fight
Yeah.
and they were about to kill each other. And sure enough, then, short time later, Pauline is dead.
Right. You'd have to ask, it'd be interesting to ask Carl, Carl, when did you call Diane? Before Ward or after Ward Moore? It'd be interesting to see what he had to say there. If he called Ward Moore, when did he do it? Before he supposedly called, Pauline to tell her don't let Buford answer the phone, or did you call him after that? That had to, it seemed like they could prove that too, or look, if there was a call.
You would think so. And then, of course, Ward also said that, he had gone to the house. Buford and Pauline weren't there. He said he saw droplets of blood on the carpet, not blood spatter like from a gunshot, but more like that from a busted lip.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodied nose, something on that order, where the blood droplets are falling vertically.
Yeah.
And so I have to wonder, did the TBI or Jim Moffitt or anyone ever question Ward Moore?
I don't know. It's interesting. Rex never said anything about Ward Moore. Never mentioned him going to the house or anything. So undoubtedly, Rex didn't know about it, or if and he. I don't know.
I would think that if Rex had been aware of that, he would have told you because you guys visited a whole lot.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Talked about the ambush extensively.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I just think that maybe if they did interview Ward Moore, and like I say, if Warren Jones didn't want to go a little deeper, delve into that, like he told Rex, the higher ups are running interference for him. They just, some things they weren't going to allow to happen, I guess, or just, close their ears to it. I don't know.
The one thing I would like to know, because of course, we haven't seen the TBI files.
Right.
We never get to see them.
No.
But the question is, did they ask Carl, about dispatching Ward Moore to the Pusser residence that morning?
Right.
Did they know?
I don't think they did because Rex didn't say anything about it. He said Carl's story was, that he called Buford was too drunk, and he stuck on this story about, he told Buford going home, nothing's going on, and all that. Said as soon as Buford left, he said he called Pauline at the house, told her, do not let him answer that phone. So he's too drunk to answer the call, and we'll take care of it. So Rex didn't say anything about that either, So
it's that's one of those things that's a mystery.
Be sure and subscribe and hit that bell so that you'll get notifications of new videos when they're released.
it
And,
is.
that was like, I would like to know if they questioned Carl about the missing time,
Yeah.
both before the ambush and after the ambush, because when you add those two together, you've got something on the order of 3.5 hours where we have
Right.
no explanation about where Buford and Pauline were.
Yeah. Long
And of
time.
course, that's based upon if we have the correct times that all this was happening.
Ambush, right? Yeah.
All we've got to go on is bits and pieces of information from newspapers, the FBI files, such as that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I don't guess they ever answered that question. Hey.
and I would like to also know exactly when, truthfully, that Carl knew that Pauline was dead. Was it when they got her to the hospital, or while that she was there at the McCoy's grocery,
Right.
the store there in Eastview where they were found, or did he know long before that she
Right.
was gone?
Yeah. But that's a question, like I say, they may have asked those questions, Warren Jones. Might not, the answers might not satisfy the people up above, when they were.
Well,
something was
had we known the answers
Yeah.
to those questions, that investigation could have taken an entirely different path,
Oh, sure.
and we wouldn't be where we're at today, still trying to learn the truth.
I guarantee you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I just think there's some interference up there.
I have to also wonder, since Carl had called and said he called Pauline, said that Buford was drunk, didn't want him taking calls. Did they do any blood testing on Buford when they got him to the hospital? Did they see any signs of intoxication that Carl had referenced?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
But it's just amazing. He gets shot, or the ambush is at 4:45,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, by all accounts that we've been able to find, they say that Hugh Kirkpatrick found Buford there in Eastview, or just a little south of Eastview, at McCoy's store. At about he heard the call at 6:20. Well, that's an hour and a half after Buford claimed he got shot.
Right. Yeah, it is.
And to me, it seems suspicious that that much time could pass, and I have to wonder just how hard that they pressed him for answers on what were you guys doing for an hour and a half after you were shot. I mean,
Yeah.
even according to Buford, he knew Pauline was dead there at the second ambush site. Said he was when the ambush first took place at the bridge, that Pauline was only wounded, and then he says that she got killed at the second site, and that was published in newspapers, magazines,
Right.
so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think we have to really take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Uh,
They're pressing too hard. Or maybe they did, and didn't like the answers.
I wonder if they questioned either Carl or Buford about the alleged argument that Buford and Pauline were having. Rex ever say anything about any of that?
He never did. No, not a word. He just he said that average Carl's story, and they're sticking to it. But Warren Jones did know they were separated. Isn't that right? I believe he did know.
That's right. Because when I interviewed Dr. Jerry Francisco, who did Louise Hathcock's autopsy,
Right.
we were talking about conversation turned to the ambush,
Right.
and he indicated that, hey, Warren Jones was concerned that because he knew
Right.
that Pauline had been staying in Savannah at a motel, that they had been separated for a while. Don't know how long.
Right.
I don't think he expressed that to Francisco.
Right.
So it, there's another question. Why would
Mhm.
Pauline come home that night with Levon Plunk waiting
Right.
for her?
Mhm.
Uh, let's say that part of this story is true for Buford.
Mhm.
Well, Pauline had called Diane home from Memphis. That was her first night there in a while.
Right. Yeah.
And Diane was there, and Levon Plunk said that she brought Pauline home. And I assume that Diane was there because, she was said, according to Levon Plunk, she was leaving Buford that night. And I assume that she called Diane, had her come home from Memphis so that
Sure.
she could have all the kids together when she left,
Right.
um, so that they could uh, go together.
Mhm.
So let's say that Buford got home. Now you've got Diane and you have Levon insisting on their stories.
Right.
So it's kind of like, why would Pauline suddenly say, "Hey, Buford, I want to go with you on this call"?
Yeah. Makes no sense. None at all. And matter of fact, one at Moffitt, didn't he say she never went with him on the call? Never.
Yeah, you had T.W. Burks and others that were telling newspapers that, oh, she often went on calls.
Yeah, but
And Jim Moffitt, the chief deputy, said that didn't happen. Said
yeah.
uh,
Right.
at night, whenever Buford would get such a call, that he would call Jim, and Jim would go with him.
Right.
And,
Right. That's right.
trust me, if you've been in law enforcement or anywhere around it, you know that you don't take your spouse
Yeah.
or anyone like that
Yeah. No,
to
that's
a disturbance
crazy.
call as such.
Yeah. I'm sure he wouldn't want her there anyway, man. Buford, some of them calls might have been fake calls. He might be meeting the honey or something, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just, that'll make any sense when she, all of a sudden, like I said, just, oh, I'll go with you on this call. You're drunk. Diane, and really, Miss Plump really blow that story about Buford was too drunk to answer the call, in my opinion, out of the water. You got two people there, I'd say reputable people. Buford's not so reputable, I mean, come on. I mean, and it just doesn't add up. Their story does to me, but
No, you think about it. There at the residence,
yeah.
you had Levon Plunk outside, you had Diane inside, and then you had Ward Moore come in.
Yeah.
And you take those three up against the word of Buford and Carl. Who are you going to believe?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, you know.
So, well, that brings us around to why the TBI didn't have any luck in solving the murder.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's no surprise. I believe that there was some political interference.
For
Could have
sure.
been from local people, could have been from Ray Blanton.
Right.
Uh, you know, Blanton and the Pussers all lived in small town of Adamsville, about 1,000 people back then, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Everybody knew everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Blanton was a Democrat. Pussers were Republicans, but yet, they got along politically because Blanton was said that he wanted Buford to become his director of public safety later on when he was running for governor.
Mm-hmm.
But that shows you that their friendship, they were willing to cross political lines to
Mm-hmm.
help each other.
Right.
And Buford campaigned for Blanton at the
He
time,
did.
running
Right.
for governor. Now, the thing is, to me, that is kind of odd, is Blanton had served in the Tennessee House of Representatives. And then on January 3rd of 1967, he was sworn in as a U.S. representative, uh,
Mm-hmm.
a national representative, if you will. So now you have to wonder, especially when you consider what we've learned about Ray Blanton and how corrupt he was.
Mm-hmm.
Did he interfere with the investigation?
You wonder. I mean, somebody was, because Warren Jones, like we talked about before, he told Rex many times they've reported Pusser to the higher ups, about this corruption stuff going on in Madera County, and nothing was ever done. It just like fell on deaf ears. They didn't care, or and I just wonder if Warren Jones knew a lot about the ambush, alleged ambush, and other things, and he probably may have asked some of these tough questions I talked about, and went to the higher ups, maybe whoever, and said, "Nah, you ain't going there." I
There's
just
a lot of mystery here, a lot of questions, and we haven't even touched the
I don't
tip of
know.
the iceberg.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yet, that movie, Walking Tall,
Yeah.
everybody believed that Buford was a true American hero. And when you
Right.
start going back through things, his own personal corruption,
Mhm.
his womanizing, and look at all the things we found that just don't seem to be wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, with the ambush, it's just amazing.
It is. Yeah. I do think Ray Blanton. I think it was a combined effort, probably local and state or whatever. That's the thing too. Talking about him and Blanton. He always claimed that there after a while the state quit. Tell him they're going to raid. And he always says, that's just political. They're mad because I'm Republican. A lot of them up there are Democrats. And, it's all political. Why they're not, tell me when they're going to raid the state line. Well, no, it's because he was dirty. He was, learning the clubs when they'd be raided. He blamed that on politics. No, they all had their hands. And I Blanton did. I guarantee a lot of the others did too. Pay to play. I mean, I'm sure if, somebody didn't want to cooperate in the county with something, I'm sure Blank can make sure their license didn't get renewed or give them a hard time about it. We need a little more money for this. And
Yeah.
two birds of a feather flock together,
Well, federal funding could be a big influence.
That's right. It can be. Yeah, you better believe it.
So
Yeah.
I suspect that there was a lot of, we've got to play along. And
Right.
I think Warren Jones probably encountered that.
Oh, sure.
And I think, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that the locals, officials were almost forced to go with what
Sure.
the flow was,
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and but it may lead back to Blanton. We'll see. I know
Yeah.
that the district attorney general, Mark Davidson,
Yeah.
he's been covered up. I mean, most people don't realize that he's actually the district attorney over what is it, 5 counties?
Yeah.
Not
I
just
think so.
McNairy County.
Yeah. I read that.
So he's got a lot on his plate,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, he does.
he's been working toward getting to this, but they've had a lot of police involved shootings and things of that nature. And of course, this is a cold case, so it gets
Yeah.
shoved a little further back.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But my hope is that before the festival, that they do get to it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it'd be nice to know.
It would be, yeah. I mean, it's kind of anxious to see what they say if they found anything new, which they didn't do an autopsy the first time. So I guess all this will be new. I mean, to a point.
Yeah, and as I've said many times, I don't think that the TBI would have got involved in this as deeply as they are now, had they not wanted to get the answers that
Right.
all of us are looking for.
And like I said, I don't doubt, Warren Jones probably asked some of those questions we talked about. And he probably saw, man, this ain't going to, this isn't fitting, but like I say, I imagine some higher ups, no, you're not going there, Warren. We're not doing that.
Well, something I've learned lately, not only Warren Jones was working on that case, but also you had John Sloan that was in that.
Yeah. Right.
And, you learn that Sloan and Pusser were pretty big buddies.
I heard Dennis say that, yeah.
And you have to wonder if that's true, if Sloan looked the other way on a few things during the investigation.
Could have, sure, yeah. Probably, that's the thing too, and you wonder about it. They all probably knew things on each other. The buddies did.
Oh yeah,
I don't think they knew anything on Warren Jones hold over him, but Pusser probably knew stuff on Sloan, vice versa. Some of the county officials probably knew some stuff on Pusser. He knew stuff on them. Kind of, hey, let's just shut up and hope this thing goes away. And get her in the grave. And let's get this over with.
yeah.
I think that was a lot of it too. Bland, they knew, Bland, a lot of stuff, they knew a lot on him and vice versa. He knew a lot on them. Good old boy, net worth of God.
Well, just let me say that, again, we hope to learn something soon. Regardless of how it comes out, I hope that we see enough information because, I think a lot of people want to know. At any rate, Chuck, I want to thank you for being here.
Yeah, sure, Mike. Enjoyed it.
And, it's one of those things I would like to ask everybody to. I'm sure Chuck is wondering, just like I am, about what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
What do you see in this? What questions do you have? And I'd like to have a conversation with everybody about it. So please put your comments on the in the comment section on this site, on this page, and we'll discuss it, debate it.
Oh yeah.
So
no problem. No problem with that.
Chuck, again, thanks for being here. And just like I always say and try to remind people, truth has no agenda.
I'm sure
Thanks.
that.